Joining me now from here in Washington is Mark Weiss. He's a retired captain with American Airlines and president of the Weiss Consulting Group. Mark, great to see you.
My pleasure again.
Mark, give us an overview of first steps and then next steps for investigators. We know that this is a recovery operation right now, but as that goes on, what can we expect to see in the coming days?
Well, what you're going to see is a very choreographed operation. There are going to be specialists from Boeing, who manufactured the aircraft, General Electric, who manufactured the engines, and you're going to see people from companies who made the systems, whether it's Rockwell or Honeywell, to come in to gather the parts of that aircraft that they represent and try to piece together what the probable cause of this accident was. Keeping in mind that anytime you have an accident like this, you're going to try to find the reason behind it so that it doesn't happen again. They're also going to be looking at the history of the aircraft, the pilots, their training records, whether they got sleep the night before. They're going to definitely need to find what we call the black boxes, which they're actually orange, they glow orange, but that's going to contain a host of valuable information. The flight data recorder is going to take into account over a few thousand different parameters, what the aircraft was doing every second from the time the engine started until it hit the ground. Not just the engines, but everything, all the systems on board that aircraft. And it's also going to tell you the position of the switches. So you're going to be able to tell whether or not somebody put the aircraft into a dive, or if nobody touched it, or if somebody fell on top of the yoke, which is basically what people would think of as like the steering column, and perhaps knock that autopilot off where the airplane went into a dive. You're going to get the voice recorder, the CVR, the cockpit voice recorder, which is going to let you listen to every single sound in that airplane and every voice, so you'll know. We'll know who was in the cockpit. At this point, we don't know who was in the cockpit. Did somebody have an incapacitation? Was there somebody who shouldn't have been in the cockpit? Was there a fight, an argument? We don't know, but this will help tell, and this is what they're going to be looking for and trying to get that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, a lot of unanswered questions, and we really don't know a lot about what happened. So what went through your mind when you first heard about this crash and the details around it?
The first thing that went through my mind was that airplanes don't come out of the sky. Airplanes are made to fly. If they had lost an engine as they were flying, they would have drift down procedures and they would have tried to restart it. Even if they lost both engines, airplanes don't come down at an angle that this airplane came down at. 29,000 feet, and it took 77 seconds to get to the ground. That airplane came down like that. My first thought was that maybe somebody who shouldn't have been there was there, or somebody in the cockpit perhaps took over that cockpit and didn't want to come home that day. And we've seen that before. And I'm not saying that that's the reason, but, you know, we've had situations like this before. You can't rule out anything in today's world.
Well, hopefully we'll get to the bottom of that once those recorders are found. How difficult will it be to coordinate this investigation with all of the different parties? You have people from different countries, especially amid this pandemic.
Well, you know, the good thing is, over the years, the CAAC has had great relationships with other investigatory aviation bodies around the globe. And I know that here the FAA and the NTSB all work very well together. They have a common goal. They have a bond together. So, you know, when you're working with somebody that you respect and you care about and you have the same end game in mind, you work well together. And they want to get this done as quickly as they can because they want to give some kind of closure to the families. They don't want this to happen again. If there was a problem that has to be repaired and fixed by the manufacturers, they need to get that done as quickly as possible. They're going to work well together.
And we are certainly thinking of those families right now. Mark Weiss, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.